When it comes to my collection of comics, it's not really that big. Every once in a while, I do get enough money where I'm like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and buy a bunch of different comics, trades, omnibus, hardcovers, whatever to build up my library. And sometimes I buy some good old epic collections from Marvel Comics. And so I realized I never bought an epic collection for Hawkeye. And really, for his character, I kind of like the character a lot, but at the same time, I have not really sat down and read a bunch of comics with the character involved, except for the Avengers, and that's really it. And so thanks to Marvel Unlimited and also my recent epic collection, I have learned that Hawkeye had received a few miniseries over the years in Marvel Comics. And of course, one in the 1990s as well. And so for today's video, we're going to sit down and cover the 1990s Hawkeye miniseries that was given to him. Now, here's the thing, because this is Hawkeye right after he lost his wife, Mockingbird. And so, of course, he had officially left the Avengers behind to have some alone time to deal with the process of losing his wife. And that is why, as you get into the opening pages of the storyline, we're really picking up with Clint right now, just out in the middle of Canada, just trying to be left alone, because this is a man who's literally broken right now. He lost his wife. It's hard enough to lose somebody in your life, but to lose somebody that close to you, a wife, a mother, a husband, or a father, is 10 times worse for some people out there. And so for Clint, this is a man who's truly broken at the moment. And so for him, right now in the middle of Canada, just wanting to be left alone. But then out of nowhere, he sees a group of men right now chasing down an animal, hunting down an animal. Now for Clint, that's okay technically, because a lot of times across the world, you have humans hunting down animals. You have animals hunting down other animals. He hates the idea of how it's being done right now at the moment, because what he's seeing right now is this group of men using snow vehicles and shotguns as a way to chase down this animal they want to kill. And so for Hawkeye, that right there is a tad bit too extreme. And so you have Clint go out of his way to protect the animal. Now, once he does that, he also remembers the animal was injured. It's slowly dying off. And so for Clint, he's kind of like, I have no choice here. I should just go ahead, find the animal, and kill it off. Why in the world should it suffer because of these guys right here? Except when he does find the creature, the animal, he kind of realized that something else had killed off the animal. But on top of that, that other thing had taken a huge chunk out of the animal that he was trying to save earlier. And so you have Clint do his job, which is follow the trail to figure out what in the world killed off this animal. The problem is that it leads him over to this secret base that belongs to the Secret Empire. Now, the Secret Empire is one of the many organizations in Marvel Comics, but in the 1990s, you had Marvel try to get them more out there to see if fans would care about this organization. But here's the thing about the Secret Empire. They were part of Hydra for a very long time, but they broke away when their instructor had officially left. And so when he left, they also had gained the ability to leave on their own as well. And so right now, it seems like they're up to something out here in the middle of Canada. But you have Hawkeye realize that a bunch of guards or agents that work for the Empire had just left their base and they're trying to chase down something that had escaped from them. And so for Hawkeye, he followed those troops as they try to chase down this creature that had escaped from them. Now, you do have Hawkeye realize that they were able to hit the creature with one of their weapons, but of course, the creature is able to continue to get away. Now, for Hawkeye, he's trying his best to keep his distance, to kind of figure out what exactly is going on here. Now, while he's trying to do that, he realized that the Secret Empire had brought in two people to help them out. One of them he knows very well, and that would be Trickshot. The other one is a brand new character around his time in Marvel Comics, and that would be Javelin. Now, when it comes to Trick Shot, this guy right here had trained Hawkeye in the past. But for Trickshot, he knows that Clint is there. And so, of course, you have Trickshot trying to go after Hawkeye. Now, you also have Javelin trying to get involved as well. And so for Clint, he now has to take on two different characters by himself. But at the same time, for Clint, he's trying to escape to find this person or creature that was trying to get away earlier. And so once you have Clint being able to get away from Trickshot and also Javelin, he does find this creature. Now, at first, he thought, okay, they're trying to chase down some kid or some other human being. But once he does find this creature, he realized this thing is not even human at all. What in the world is this? But either way, he knows he cannot allow Trickshot nor Javelin to get their hands on this creature. And so you have Clint pick up the creature and get away. Now for Clint, he was able to get the creature over to a nearby village. Here comes the problem though. He's kind of wondering, do they have the right resources to hopefully save the life of this creature? But while you have Clint trying to save the life of this creature for the Secret Empire, really more for Trickshot and also Javelin, they have to go back to their base to report to their boss what exactly went down. And really, we kind of find out who is in charge of this whole entire operation. It's no other than Viper. Now, here's the thing, because Viper, she had close ties with Hydra. By this point, though, the Secret Empire had moved away from Hydra. And right now, the question is, what is she actually up to in the storyline as we close on the first issue? And so as we dive into the second chapter, we're picking up with Hawkeye arriving into this small town. Now, when he does, he heads straight over to the doctor. Now, unfortunately for the doctor, she has no idea what to do here. She's kind of like, okay, so you brought in this creature. It does look somewhat human, but to be on the safe side, let me go ahead and call in the town vet, and which she does. So you have the two characters being able to save the life of this creature. Now, by this point for Hawkeye, he gave the creature a name. That name will be Rover. Now, for all three characters, they're kind of trying to figure out, okay, what is the actual origin of this creature? Like, where did it come from? But you do have everyone realize there's some kind of barcode tattooed on the creature's body. And so for our three characters, they're kind of like, okay, that tells us right off the bat that this creature is a product of science. And that is very interesting. While you have the town doctor and vet work together to save the life of Rover, you have Hawkeye finally being able to get some type of rest. But while doing that, you do have the doctor inform him like, hey, listen, we were able to get at least 2 bullets out of him. Now for Hawkeye, as soon as Rover is better, they're gonna leave town just like that. Now we also learned a few things here. Like for example, when it comes to the villagers, they knew about the Secret Empire and their brand new facility up there in the mountains. But they had the right mindset to mind their own business. They're kind of like, listen, we have no idea what they're doing up there, but we knew one thing, to not get involved. Now for Rover, we kind of find out this creature has the ability to draw pictures as a way to communicate with Hawkeye and the doctor. And of course, it's him telling Hawkeye like, hey, there are others like me that are still being held right now in that facility. Like, you have to help me free my people. And so, of course, Hawkeye agrees. Now, for the doctor, she does tell Hawkeye they know that he is an Avenger. Like, at this point, you need to call in your team. But for Clint, he's no longer part of that team at all. And he tells her. But right now, his main goal is him and Rover to go back into the mountains to bring down the Secret Empire. And so that kind of leads us into the point where we do see Hawkeye and also Rover being able to sneak their way into the base of the Secret Empire. Now, with them doing that, they do see 4 characters at the moment having an argument with one another. Now, the first three characters we already know. That will be Javelin, Trickshot, and also Viper. The fourth character is number 9. You see, for the Secret Empire, you have this inner circle that runs the entire organization. But the thing is, each person is ranked by some kind of number. Of course, number 1 being the highest, the supreme leader. Number 9 is just last place in the council when it comes to being in charge of this organization. And right now, you have Viper and number 9 going back and forth with one another. The whole idea that, hey, they lost that creature they were supposed to recapture. Now, for Viper, she's getting upset in this conversation, and so she goes ahead and kills off number 9 just like that. And her goal is to also get rid of the entire council as well and take charge of the Secret Empire. Now, it also seems like for Viper, what she wants to do is bring the Secret Empire back into the fold of Hydra, because like I said earlier, this organization was able to break away from Hydra, but it does seem like Hydra wants them back under their control once again. Now, with that being said, for Rover and also Hawkeye, they do find his pack. The problem is that when they do find his pack, well, the pack is killed off by some troops that work for the Secret Empire. And so for Rover, he does get very upset about the fact that he's now technically the last person from his pack. And so he goes crazy and begins to attack all the guards in the facility. Now, for Viper, she basically said earlier, like, hey, you know what? Time to go ahead and start all over again. Shut down the entire facility, blow it all up. Let's go ahead and get the heck out of there. Now, the thing is, once she gets word that Hawkeye is there and so is Rover, she knows she has to get them as well. The problem is that Hawkeye and Rover, they get out of there before they get captured by the Secret Empire. Now, their main goal is to head back over to the city they left earlier. The problem is that when they get back over to that city, it has been completely burned down by the Secret Empire. So, of course, for Hawkeye, he's now even more devoted to go after the Secret Empire and to hopefully bring them down. And so as we dive into the third chapter, we pick up with Hawkeye calling up War Machine. Now, at this point in time in Marvel Comics, both characters were no longer part of the Avengers. They both had stepped away because really they hated the idea of the Avengers not really out there avenging people, especially when it comes to Hawkeye losing his wife Mockingbird. Now, the reason why you had Clint call out War Machine because, hey, he knows if he does go after the Secret Empire, he needs the right gear to use to hopefully bring them down. Now, luckily for Clint, when it comes to War Machine, he does know somebody who can possibly help him. And that would be a character known as Mac Mendelsohn. Had a hard time pronouncing that name. But for Mac, this dude is an engineer, a mechanical genius, which is perfect for Hawkeye. And so right now, you have Mac being able to begin the process of upgrading Hawkeye's gear. Really, this miniseries for me is kind of like, hey, you know what? We want to show off Hawkeye, but at the same time, the dude does need a tad bit of an upgrade, a brand new suit with brand new weapons, but also a brand new vehicle as well. Now, it's also War Machine telling us that he knows what happened to Mockingbird and he wants to be there in Clint's corner, but at the same time understands that for Clint, he wants to be left alone technically. He does not want to talk about that at all when it comes to the death of his wife. Now, when it comes to our three villains, Viper, Trickshot, and also Javelin, you have these three characters right now just flying over to their new base where they will be able to continue their experiment alongside with the Secret Empire's help as well. So honestly, it's a brief check-in with these characters. But as we transition back over to War Machine, Hawkeye, Rover, and also Mac, This is where you kind of have the book give us all the new stuff for Hawkeye. You know, the brand new suit that he'll wear for the rest of this series. The whole idea that he also has a new vehicle as well. Now, for Mac, he was able to help out Hawkeye to locate where the Secret Empire could possibly be going to next by just picking up on a transmission that was sent out by them. And so you do have Hawkeye, Rover, and also War Machine leave to head over to that location. Now, tell you right now, War Machine will only be helping out in this chapter alone. After this chapter, War Machine leaves because for Hawkeye, he must do this on his own, he says. Now, of course, with this being only the third chapter of 4 when it comes to this mini-series, you already know that this right here is most likely not the main base for the Secret Empire. It's just one of their mini bases they have out there across the world. And so you do have War Machine, Hawkeye, and also Rover arrive there to kind of figure out what's going on at this place, which of course is a whole bunch of nothing. But with our heroes, you do have War Machine being able to hook himself into their machines, their computers, to kind of figure out where is the actual base that Viper, Trickshot, and Javelin went off to. And once they do have that location, you then have our heroes leave. Now, luckily for our heroes, they got out of there just in time because for the Secret Empire, they want to make sure they stay a secret. So they blew up their entire base, which was on an island. Matter of fact, the whole entire island got blown up. But either way, with War Machine being able to get the location of where the actual base is at for Viper, Trickshot, and Javelin, he hands that information over to Hawkeye. And so for Hawkeye, he's kind of like, cool, you know what? It's time for me to go. But I must do this on my own alongside with Rover. And so there goes War Machine from the book. Now, the very last page of this book, it does reveal that yes, for Trickshot, Javelin, and also Viper, they were able to move over to a brand new base. And also, they were able to continue on with their experiment. They had just created a brand new version of Rover, a brand new species that may be stronger and faster than Rover species was. And their main goal is to create an army of these creatures to use against their enemies. And this leads us into the 4th chapter. And so as we get into the final chapter, we're really picking up with Hawkeye and Rover both arriving at the area where the Secret Empire is working out of. And I kind of like this a lot because for Hawkeye, it's him saying to us that he now fully understands that it's not the Avengers' fault for what happened to Mockingbird. It's not his fault what happened to her either. That technically it's about time for him to go ahead and just move on with his life. Now, with that being said, now with Hawkeye and also Rover causing a lot of commotion in that area, an alert goes out over to, well, Viper. Now for Viper, this is perfect. And the reason why, because now she can test out her brand new biological combat units on Hawkeye to see if they are capable of taking him down. And so the next few pages is really more of us just seeing Hawkeye and also Rover trying their best to just survive, because these biological combat units are an actual challenge for our two heroes. But while you have our two heroes trying their best to survive, Viper is watching them. She is loving it. She's kind of like, this is perfect. But here comes the big catch though, because while she is watching them, you have Trickshot say enough is enough. Like, he cannot stand the idea of watching Hawkeye being hunted down by these creatures. And so you have Trickshot walk away to go help Hawkeye out in the field. And so, of course, that kind of leads into the next few pages of us just seeing Hawkeye and Rover trying their best to survive. And matter of fact, it does get to that point where it does seem like our heroes are technically cornered and they might get officially killed off by these biological combat units. But then at the very last second, you have Trickshot appear. Now, when Trickshot does appear, for Hawkeye, he is a tad bit confused here. But I kind of like this a lot because remember, for Trickshot, he did train Hawkeye in the past. And yes, these two characters are on different sides, bad and good. But this kind of leads into a very important conversation between the two characters. because this leads into a very important conversation that I kind of like here. Because for Trickshot, like I said, he's the guy who trained Hawkeye, right? But it's Trickshot saying like, I heard what happened to Mockingbird. That's heartbreaking. Like, you lost your wife, someone very close to you. But at the same time, it's Trickshot saying you gotta move on. Like, her death will always be there with you. But at the same time, you can't allow her death to hold you back, to hold you down. You have to keep pushing forward. And on top of that, what would Mockingbird want you to do? And so you have Hawkeye being able to take those words to heart. Like, yes, these two guys are on different sides, good versus evil. One want to be a hero, one in it for the money. But at the same time, they still have an understanding for one another. And so you have Trickshot say, go out there. I'll do my best to hold off these creatures while you and Rover get over to the base to hopefully bring down Viper. And so the rest of this storyline is really more of us just seeing Hawkeye and Rover being able to make it over to the base of the Secret Empire. And when they do, you see our heroes being able to literally bring down Viper, the entire Empire, but also Javelin as well. I feel so bad for the Javelin character because she's just there for like a page or two and then taken out just like that. But either way, the book does end with our heroes being able to take down Viper, the Empire, and also Javelin. And you kind of have the book end on the note where it's Rover and Hawkeye supposed to go their separate ways, but you didn't have Hawkeye say like, you know what, Rover, I'll stay with you for like a few more days out here in the woods. And the book ends on that note. Here's the thing, Rover never does reappear ever again in Marvel Comics. So like, this whole miniseries is okay to me, but like at the same time, you introduce a brand new character who could be very close to Hawkeye in some type of way where like down the road, he could reappear over and over again. But unfortunately, we never see Rover ever again. It's pretty sad. But with that being said, guys, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.